everyone. Welcome once again to a Meet the Vendor webinar, where we get to meet some of the amazing software vendors in the Atlassian ecosystem. And today we've got Majid from Exalate, and he's going to tell us all about integrations. So welcome, Majid.
Thank you, Michael. Nice to be here.
Well, tell us what's happening in the world of Exalate and B2B integrations. And yeah, I think it's amazing times for this type of thing. It's an amazing set of use cases. So yeah, tell us about it.
I think COVID kind of like fast forwarded it a little bit. I mean, even though the remote culture was there, teams were working globally with different ITSM tools. Each team or project has their own tool set. And then the pain comes when you need to collaborate between the different teams and somehow seamlessly integrate those different work environments so that each team is more efficient than it was. So yeah, the need for integrations is higher than ever these days.
That's right. COVID changed a lot of things, didn't it? But I think it forced organizations to get their digital workspaces in order. Because it couldn't be sorted out with meeting someone in the coffee room and having that conversation about where things are at. It's just not possible. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. So go for it. Tell us what Exalate can do for us.
As we said, we are a two-way synchronization solution which integrates different ITSM platforms. And just building up on exactly what you said, the global trend in the ITSM space has been exponential growth for the past 5 years, and it's kind of predicted to be similar in the next 5 years. Now, each team has their own tool of choice. Support team might be working in Zendesk, the developers are working in Jira, the QA team are working in Azure, or different variants of them. And then how do you make them collaborate? How do you make them talk to each other easily? And that's precisely the pain point that Exalate addresses. So a way of doing this is to allow users of one system to have access to the other system, like logins to the other system. Now that kind of opens a whole Pandora's box of security issues, security challenges, where even though you can mitigate a lot of them using permission-based subscriptions, but still it does open that can of worms. It's a problem. The other way is to like manually maintain the sync somehow using webhooks and creating some code which would drive this. But again, the maintenance and the cost of all that drives the whole thing up. So this is exactly what Exalate was designed to address. So we actually started off totally in the Atlassian ecosystem, whereby we were integrating Jira's, one Jira within itself, which is what we call a local synchronization. So like if you have a couple of projects where one may be a JSM project where your service management team is held, and one might be a software project where the developers are working. And those two projects can sync totally between themselves without you having to write any automation rules or anything like that. So that's pretty useful. And then where Exalate really came into its own was when we started integrating totally independent work systems. So your support team could be working in Zendesk, as is on the graphic right now. They can create a ticket on their own Zendesk environment, and that gets automatically synced to the Jira board of a particular development team. Now, the developer kind of answers the questions on his Jira board, and those replies and everything gets synced back to Zendesk, and this all happens in real time pretty painlessly. So yeah, that's what Exalate really specializes in. The systems that we support are on your screen right now. We support all versions of Jira and all flavors like on-prem, cloud, service management, software, all sorts of things. And the other systems that we specialize on, well, I'm going to be concentrating on ServiceNow today. So I'm going to sync Jira with ServiceNow today, but Azure DevOps, Salesforce, GitHub, all those systems are fully supported. Now, Exalate has been doing this for around 10 years now. So we are one of the most installed integration applications on the Atlassian marketplace. I think the active installs currently stands at 4K plus. Now, a lot of small, large, medium, all sorts of organizations have tried and used Exalate. Now, simply because once you get it configured and up and running, it just sits in the background and lets you concentrate on your work. You don't need to worry about the integration. You don't need to worry about how to send things from one side to the other. That just all goes behind the scenes and is pretty seamless. We've been working in the financial space. We've got clients which are government organizations, some in Australia as well, all over the globe, actually. So yeah, a whole host of companies which use Exalate. Now, we have some case studies published on our website if you're interested. We just picked a few here, and I'm just going to talk very briefly about a couple of. It's very always interesting to see how people in the field use Exalate to kind of simplify their processes and kind of increase their efficiency. So Wireless Car is a company which provides digital transformation services to auto manufacturers. Now, auto manufacturers are huge organizations, obviously, who are set in stone. They have their ways set in stone already. They have their systems up. They wouldn't allow external access to their systems, like by providing logins and stuff. And so Wireless Car had this real need of being able to collaborate somehow with multiple auto vendors. And how they did this was that they were already using Jira. They used Exalate and synced issues with the different vendors using their system. Some were using ServiceNow, some were using Jira. And again, that becomes seamless. The security concern is there. The security concern is totally answered here because none of the Wireless Car employees have any sort of access to the vendor systems and vice versa. Similarly, DPG.
I was just thinking while you're saying that, Majid, just the use cases are pretty incredible because obviously it started with, just connecting up your apps within your own environment. Obviously, you should be using ServiceNow or Zendesk. You should be using Jira Service Management and, building everything onto the Atlassian stack as an organization. But it's the business to business integration where I see so much potential, and obviously just being able to connect to your supplier or your partner. So for example, we've got clients who, they're IT, so they've got lots of clients who are raising all sorts of support tickets in their environment. And it's that ServiceNow to Jira integration that connects them. But there's so many use cases. So we've spoken to clients regarding streamlining product feedback. So using a very sophisticated product in the field, and they're a massive client, and what they want to be able to do is provide that instant feedback to the manufacturer about what's working, what's not working, what software changes are required, so it can go straight into the development queue. Also, universities being able to partner together, because what they do is they create these research projects and they involve multiple universities, and they're running projects and research projects, and to be able to synchronize those. So again, it depends how you want to do the work, but the sky's the limit with business to business integration. I'm just so excited. I'm excited for you, Majid.
It's you're so correct that I've been here for just under 2 years, and every day you get a client asking you to customize their integration in a manner which you hadn't come across before. You would think that if you've been doing it for 2 years, day in, day out, you would have kind of covered the use cases. But yes, you're absolutely correct. You come up with these innovative ways of working and how you would like to collaborate. And the best part is that you can customize Exalate. So you can write scripts, you can customize it in a manner which suits your business processes and which makes you more efficient. Like that's the whole idea. But yes, absolutely. Right. So let's dive a little bit into how Exalate works and how we get this integration going. So we're a totally decentralized solution. We actually take pride in being the only decentralized integration solution. Now, I don't know if you've had a chance to play around with integration solutions, but most of the ones you come across in the market would have a central hub from where you would connect the two systems that you want to talk to each other. And then all the traffic kind of goes through that hub and everything is controlled within that hub. We decentralize that approach, and how that essentially works is that you have the Exalate tool installed on both sides. On the Jira side, you install it from the Atlassian marketplace, pretty painless, a couple of clicks and it's installed. And similarly, the other tracker, whatever you're using, has its own copy of Exalate. Now, the integration works never by Jira to ServiceNow. So the Jira and ServiceNow systems would never, ever be directly speaking to each other. They don't even have access to each other. Jira would speak to its Exalate node. ServiceNow would speak to its own Exalate node. And these two Exalate nodes then interchange information in order to get this going. This is a very, very foolproof way, at least we think, of doing it, because, well, each side, each tool admin on each side has full 100% control over what he's integrating. So it does, obviously it depends on what data he's receiving from the other side, but it's totally up to him as to how he processes. His integration or his system cannot break because the other side made a mistake. And similarly, nobody else apart from the Jira admin on your side would have access to your configuration. So chances of things going wrong would be minimal. Just a very quick word about our security and architecture white paper. So one of the things we continue to hear from clients day in, day out is security. So you look at the product, you get to work with it, you like it, and then you get concerned with how the security works. So I wouldn't be able to do this justice in a few seconds, but there's like a very deep, detailed security and architecture white paper, which covers everything from encryption, decentralization, or basically how we ensure that each piece of data is kept secure and only visible to the first people who need to see it. Right, so very lastly, when you start configuring Exalate, we basically provide 3 different modes, which are targeted to, well, different sorts of users who are using it. They're called the basic, visual, and the script. Now, the visual mode, as it kind of shows on the screen right now, will have like a visual interface from where you can pick and choose that this field in Jira goes to this field in ServiceNow, or however that is. And you can control it using that. Now, this is obviously targeted at business users who might not have the full technical acumen required to perform these tasks. But for advanced use cases and for people who want to get their hands dirty, we've got a scripting mode where you get absolute powers. You can not only pick data from one side, but you can essentially process it. You can transform it using any sort of rules, any sort of programming, and then land it into whatever field or however you want to present it. I'll be demoing the script mode shortly, so I'll explain details about it a little bit more. And the last mode that we offer is called the basic mode, which is a free plan for life. Now, what this gives you is a basic synchronization between 2 systems. So let's say if you were synchronizing a Jira Cloud with a Jira on-prem version, what this would give you is essentially a 4-field synchronization. So your ticket summary, attachments, description, and comments would automatically sync between the 2 systems. It's a 0 configuration setup. You don't have to do anything. You literally install the tool, create the connection. That's it. Things are syncing. But yeah, as it's a free plan, it's got a limitation of 1,000 tickets per month, and it can't really be configured. I hope you're excited to see the product, Michael.
Yeah, good way to get started. Yeah, I can't wait to see.
So yeah, as I alluded to earlier, we're going to set up a quick sync between a Jira Cloud instance. We'll use a software project here, and a ServiceNow just for incident management. So the use case being that incidents would be logged into the ServiceNow instance, and then they need to be synced to an independent vendor, an independent company using Jira. So as I said, how you get started with it is by installing the tool on both ends. On the Atlassian space, it's extremely painless. As I said, it installs from the marketplace. And yeah, once installed, the admin panel is installed out here. So any Jira admin will have access to the Exalate admin panel. So any administration, configuration, troubleshooting, all that sort of stuff would happen from out here. On the ServiceNow side, again, we have what we call a bridge app installed. And the user experience is ever so slightly different. Let's do that again. Better. So the user experience is indeed. So the user experience is ever so slightly different, and it's not. I mean, the Jira experience is really, really rich. It's all embedded within your platform. Even like the workflows within Exalate are kind of geared towards Jira already. ServiceNow, it's slightly different, but again, the same. The node actually lives outside, so it's on a separate URL. Right. So let's get started. So let's initiate a connection. Now, either party can initiate the connection. All connections are bidirectional. So I'm just going to copy the base Jira URL, come into ServiceNow, and try to create a connection. Now, this gives me a choice of two connection modes that we spoke about. The basic is the free one, and the script is the one we're going to be looking at right now. And there's another mode which sits in between these two, which is called the visual, which we were talking about. So if you were connecting Jira to another Jira, you would get that visual mode option available. It's not available for ServiceNow. Right. The next screen asks me to provide some user-friendly names to the two instances. So I'm just going to call this Snow and this Jira. And I'm going to append something there so that I can quickly find the connection. And that should be it. So the source side, the source system, has initiated a connection towards the target. Now, how the decentralization works is that it generates an invitation code, which you can copy and pass on to the admin on the other side. Now, the Jira admin would totally asynchronously come into his instance, accept the invitation by plugging the code in, and the Jira admin would have an additional setting on his end, which is pretty important to understand. So this is where Exalate is asking you to nominate a target project. So whenever issues are coming from the external system, which project within Jira do you want to create those issues in? So you choose one project out here, but later on down the line, if you want to make this a dynamic selection, so let's say you say that based on any parameter, so let's say the ticket that is coming in, if that is like has a database tag on it, then you create it in this project. If it has a network tag on it, you create it in some other project. So that sort of dynamic selection is available, but not from the UI. We will need to script it if you were to do that. And that should be it, really. So my connection is set up.
Too easy. Look at that.
Yeah. So really, honestly, like as painless as that. Just now the two systems are hooked up. Each side has its own copy of the connection. I'll keep stressing this point though. So Jira has its own copy of the connection, and the other side, ServiceNow side, would have its own copy of the connection. Shouldn't be pending. Let's refresh this. Yeah. So each admin is 100% independently controlling his side of the integration. That's the autonomy you get. Right. So let's see what the product does first of all before we dive into a little bit of configuration. So very quickly, I'll just create a ticket out here, and we'll see how we can send it across to the other side and how the communication will take place. The spelling mistakes are there for a reason. I'll explain in a minute. Right. So now the ticket lives on the source system. Now, because we haven't configured any sort of automation between the two systems right now, I mean, we've got a connection, but we haven't really automated any. So right now, the way to send this ticket over to the other side would be to manually do it. Now, we'll automate this in a second, but to manually do it, somebody would come into the panel, plug the incident number in, and then send the ticket over to the other side. Now, don't be put off by this because this is really for testing purposes, like the manual way. Once you are in production, you would automate this, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But regardless of whether you do this manually or in an automated way, the end result is exactly the same. Exalate goes and tries to create a Jira ticket within the correct Jira project. If successful, it provides you the ticket number, and this is actually a hyperlink which you can just open as long as you have access to the Jira system. And I've got my Jira ticket with my spelling mistakes and everything. Right.
It's all right. I can't type either, so it's fine.
So let's correct this now. So let's correct the spelling, and let's correct the spelling. As I was saying, this was there for a reason. I wanted to correct it from the Jira end. Right. So what happens now? So initially there was a ServiceNow ticket. It went over to Jira. Now Exalate is aware that these two are twin tickets. Any updates on one end should automatically flow back to the other end. So now if I go back to my incident, I expect that the spelling mistakes that I corrected on the Jira side should be reflected out here. And this works both ways, of course. So let's add a comment on the ServiceNow side, and let's just make another small change out here. So yeah, what the things that will work seamlessly without any configuration are what you're seeing right now, like the ticket summary, description, comments, attachments, all those sort of basic fields would just work out of the box. You don't really need to do any configuration. But for other fields like custom fields, status, stuff like that, we'll need to configure it a little bit. Now the changes, I'm just going to wait for my changes to arrive. So let me just see if they're committed already. ServiceNow has a habit of like not saving stuff. Okay, it is saved. So the iteration 1 is there and my comment is there. So these two changes should arrive on my Jira ticket shortly. Okay, my comment has arrived. How's it going? How's the webinar going? And the change has arrived as well. Now, something to notice out here. The change has been made by a user called Exalate. Now, this is how it works by default. Now, the idea is that this person who made the comment in a vendor system will never ever have an account in your system. Otherwise, why are we integrating, right? So his name kind of gets embedded within the comment body just to make everybody aware of what's going on. But if you want to change this behavior, this can certainly be done. And of course, this would go both ways. It should be pretty quick as well.
It kind of makes sense to have it tell you that it's come from the system.
Yeah, and what Jira users particularly love is this bit. So remember that I made this change on the other side. So the history is maintained. It kind of tells you that this change was made by an actual user and this change was made by Exalate, which definitely means that the other system is making changes. It's a nice little thing to have. Now, this would work exactly the same way the other way around. So let's say we wanted to create a ticket in Jira and send it externally, but this time let's make it a little different. Let's automate this. So I would come into the Jira side of the connection, edit it, and the triggers is what I want to start with. So trigger is basically a JQL query, which kind of tells Exalate which issues to pick up and send to the other side. So you can write any valid JQL query out here. I can say project equals ease and labels in test or something. So any valid JQL statement will work within the Exalate trigger. So what I've just told Exalate is to look for any tickets which belong to this project and have this label called test. Now, these should automatically be picked up now. So let me show you what I mean. So let's just create a task within ease. And this time I need to make sure that I have the label populated. So test was my label. Right. So this is like a really rich user experience now. So the ticket is created meeting some parameters which the admin has already decided. And that's it. No user intervention whatsoever. This ticket should automatically be sent over to the other side. Now, you can visually, if you want to check what's going on, you have this little Exalate panel on Jira, which kind of tells you what's going on. So it gives you it's already created the ticket. And if I open it, it should open the counterpart on the ServiceNow side. So yeah, pretty much all like production implementations that we have will have these triggers published because the automation needs to be kind of there. And yeah, everything else we spoke about, like making changes on one side, them reflecting on the other side pretty much in real time, is all still valid.
Seems simple enough, doesn't it? And yeah, just to be able to connect your teams and synchronize all that information. Yeah.
Indeed, absolutely. Should we complicate this a little bit?
I think we should.
All right, let's.
That was certainly far too easy. So I think we need something a little bit more challenging.
Let's go for it then. So let's look at how all this works. So so when you create a scripted connection, essentially you're installing two sets of scripts called the outgoing and the incoming. This is what is at the heart of Exalate and what makes Exalate efficient. Now, each side, the source side has this, and remember the destination side has its own out and in because it's decentralized. Now, whatever is out for one system becomes the in for the other system. And that's how you configure Exalate basically. So right now, what I'm doing in the outgoing scripts is that I'm picking up a lot of different data points, like the key, short description, attachments. I'm picking up all this data from the ServiceNow ticket and packaging it into a data structure called the replica. This replica object then gets sent across to the other side. Now, on the Jira side, obviously, this would become the incoming transaction for Jira. And if you look at the incoming script, what would Jira be doing? It would essentially be picking stuff up from that replica and start assigning it to its own local issue object. And really, once you get your head around how this works, that is how the configuration works. You send stuff out within the replica from one side, you unpackage it from the other side and do any sort of processing with it, right? So just to show you a very quick example of what I'm talking about. So on my Jira ticket, I have this field called ServiceNow incident number. Now, this was there for a reason that I wanted to put in the ticket number from ServiceNow out here automatically. Now, if I was to do that, what I'll do is in the incoming script, I'll say that I have a custom field called this where I want to populate the value of the ticket number. Now, the ticket number is already always being sent out from the other side. It's always contained within the variable replica. So all I need to do is just ensure that it's populated within the correct thing. I'm just checking if my spellings and all are correct. It looks okay. Let's publish. Right. So you made a change to the script, publish it. And now let's just send an update from the source. Okay. So now that I've updated the source ticket, what happens is that the outgoing script runs on the source. It packages everything into the replica, sends it to Jira. Jira now, while running its incoming script, will pick up the key value and try to assign it to this custom field if you've done everything correctly. And you can actually visually see this, like, bear with me a moment. So my ticket number is E46. So this replica that I keep talking about is actually visually available from this remote replica button. So this is the entire JSON payload, which is arriving from the other side. Now, the programming effort required is literally picking stuff out from this replica object and start playing with the different data points on your side. And yeah, so our incident number came over with the change. To do a slightly more complex example, each side always has its own workflows, totally customized. So right now I have this state called selected for development. And I want to do a use case whereby if I change the source to in progress, I would like Jira to change to selected for development. So I just want to show you how the mapping would kind of work. So again, when you start thinking about synchronization problems, always think about sending and receiving parties. So the sending party needs to send out the state. Luckily, that is already happening on line number 7. We're already sending the state out. Now, on the Jira side, let's have a quick look at what our script is actually doing. Right. So we're working with a summary, description, attachments, comments, labels, but we don't seem to be working with status at all. Now, that's for a reason, because status would need to be customized. So let me just pick this code up, which is always available by default, and let's customize it. Now, customization would be as simple as this. So if the source is in progress, I want to change the destination to selected for development. I hope I've spelled things correctly this time. And the variable name is called state. That's it. So when the source is in progress, I want to change the destination to this, and it could be like as many mappings as you want. Again, after making the change, we'll publish it, and we'll give this a quick test. So we'll go to in progress, save it, and this time I'll try to walk you through the transaction. So we have this thing called the sync queue. Now it's totally empty right now. So what happens in the sync queue is that any transaction that starts off, you'll be able to visually see that transaction being processed and going through. So it shows you the different moving parts of the system. So either it hasn't been picked up so far, or I was too late. We'll give it a few seconds.
And I'll
It
just
hasn't been.
maybe to note, if you're integrating large projects with a large amount of tickets, that first sync might take a little while if you want to sync 3,000 tickets.
Precisely. So this transaction has now left the ServiceNow system, and I couldn't have been quick enough to show you this on the Jira side as well, where you will see it arriving in Jira and then disappearing from the UI, meaning that it's been fully processed. And the result should be that my ticket should change to the target state that it should have gone into. So yeah, this is a little bit about how you would get Exalate to work seamlessly within like a cross-company collaboration, or even within an intra-company setting where you have, let's say, two very large teams working in two different systems, or even two Jiras for that purpose, but just using them differently, and you just seamlessly bring them together within one work. So I hope that made sense, Michael.
No, that's fantastic. That was a really, really good overview, because I think it's just interesting how easy it is to get going. The options in terms of you can integrate it however you want, customize it with your fields and your status and all that type of thing, how easy it is. And then, as you're seeing, internal teams, and then business to business use cases where you're dealing with external parties, and how the security is handled, how everything's handled on each side, just means that you're going to have this platform in place that you can use for anything. I think it's going to be incredible. I really think over the next few years, B2B integration is going to be one of the huge growth areas that we're going to be doing, where, because it's not just one team that needs to connect. If you start thinking about how many critical suppliers that you've got to your business that you might want to be integrated with, how many partners that you've got that you might want to be integrated with, and clients, because that's something we're working towards at Design Industries, is to integrate with Jira to Jira with our clients, so we can provide an adequate level of, well, a more than adequate level of end user support. And again, getting everyone on the same page. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, this is one of the use cases which we're getting increasingly these days. Like a service provider who has a number of clients, but the clients already have their own ITSM system. They have their Jiras already running. And so increasingly we are seeing that when a managed service provider kind of sells on a service or comes into contract with a partner, they just include Exalate within it. Like, we need to talk to you. We need to talk to your ITSM system. So we'll just have it, and it just becomes seamless for them. So yeah, more and more we're coming across this use case.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess, yeah, I encourage anyone watching, if you're thinking about the what integration can mean. Well, we all know, it's having your team on the same page. Just having your 4 or 5 people in your agile team, you know, the importance of having them on the same page, but then all the teams around them, then all the platforms around them, then all the extended teams that they partner with and collaborate with to be able to deliver. Yeah, so I'm super excited. Thanks very much for that demonstration. I think it really shows the power of the tool and the simplicity of getting going. And yeah, appreciate your time. So thanks very much, Majid.
You're very welcome, and I hope this was useful for you and your clients as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. So thank you.